V'shabbat kadshecha b'avat uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. Shkoch. Let's turn to page 127, and let's read responsively. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain.
On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share.
There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation.
There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others.
On Shabbat, we remember that justice are our duty and a better world our goal.
So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. Page 128. Hine ma tovu manayim shever achim gam yachad. 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 How good and how pleasant it is that brothers and sisters dwell together. I'm going to turn now to page 138 in your prayer book for Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, la la la, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el ha-meyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem ultiferet, ve'elitila lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, la la la, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'neilcha, ki mekor haberacha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof maseh b'machashava techila, lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, la la la, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki va'orech kumi ori, uri uri, shir daberi, kavod Adonai, alayik nigla, lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, la la la, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha uvetzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, la la la, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Going to turn now to the next page, page 140, for Psalm 92, Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodot LaAdonai, Ulzamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Ulzamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Lehagid Baboker Chastecha, Ve'emunatecha Balelot, Alei Asur V'alei Navel, Alei Gayon Bechinor, Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodot LaAdonai, Ulzamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Ulzamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Ki Simchatani Adonai Befolecha, B'masei Yadecha Ranein, Magodlu Ma'asecha Adonai, Me'oram Kumachshevotecha, Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, Tov Lehodot LaAdonai, Ulzamer L'Shimcha Elyon, Ulzamer L'Shimcha Elyon. Let's turn forward now to page 142 for Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzitchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Going to turn to page 144 now for Chetzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach yirutei v'yamlik malchutei, b'chayei uv'yom uv'chayei decho beit Yisrael, bagala uv'izman kariv, v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam u'olmei almaya yitbarach, yitbarach ve'yishtabach, ve'yitpar v'yitromam ve'yitnasei, ve'yitadar ve'yitaleh ve'yitalal, Shmei dekut shabriku, le'la min kol birchata ve'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran b'yalma, ve'imru amen. We're going to turn to page 146 now, and please rise if you're able and comfortable doing so this evening for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach, Baruch Adonai Amvorach Leolam Vaed. Please feel free to have a seat, and we're going to turn to page 149. Let's read together. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, Hamari v'ravim. Let's turn to page 150. Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha avta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokveinu, Ukmeinu nasiach b'chukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, U'mitzvotecha le'olam voed, Ki hem chayenu, Ve'yorech yameinu, Mimenu leolamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael. Going to turn now to page 152, and I'll invite you to rise again, if you're able and comfortable doing so, for the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Please have a seat. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, Bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha Uvlechtecha v'derech, uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha, ukshartam leota yadecha, v'hayu letetafot beineinecha, uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uv'isharecha. Leman tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, V'tem kedoshim leloechem, Ani Adonai Eloechem, Asher hotzeti etchem, Me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim, Ani Adonai Eloechem, Adonai Eloechem, Emet. Let's turn to page 157, and we'll read together. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 158. Mi chamocha bohilim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh, nora tehilot יוסף מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים צליאנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלום יד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל Yisrael. Let's read together in English on page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. All right, going to turn to page 162 now, up at the top. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג המקדשי שביעי כולם ישבעו ויתענגו בטובך ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג המקדשי שביעי כולם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג המקדשי שביעי כולם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך. We're going to turn to page 164 now, and I'll invite you to rise again if you're able and comfortable doing so for our evening tefillah. Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei HaKol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, U'mevi ge'ula livnei v'neihem leman shemo be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, Umidao melach, melech mimit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'neman atah lehayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please feel free to have a seat. And we're going to turn to page 173 and we'll read together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Retzei Adonai Eloheinu b'yamcha Yisrael, utfilatam b'yava tekabel, utehil ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. El karov lechol korav, pnei levadecha v'chonenu, shefok ruchacha aleinu. ותחזיין עינינו בשובך לציון ברחמים, ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר שכינתו לציון. We're going to turn to page 179 now, and let's read together. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamavorech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. All right, we're going to say a prayer of gratitude now. I'm going to open it up, folks, for people who want to volunteer and share something that they that they feel grateful for this week, or that they'd like to acknowledge a blessing in their life. Anybody want to do so?
I had some friends visit me this past weekend who we went to college together 10 years ago, and they had not visited Binghamton since we graduated, and I think we were both kind of skeptical. They thought that Binghamton kind of stinks, and I thought that doing all of the nostalgic college stuff was going to stink, but I think we were both pleasantly surprised by the activities chosen by the others. So it was actually an excellent weekend, and I'm thankful for that.
So, I'm glad you had such a nice weekend and it didn't stink.
I'm grateful that at least so far with having overlapping COVID exposures, just getting done with one and then getting exposed with something else, that so far I have not, we have to do Kanahor, Mirtishim, whatever my mother would say, I have not gotten sick yet.
Hope that continues to be the case.
There are so many things that I'm grateful for that I can't even start to tell you, but something happened today that made me feel very good, because I volunteer at the blood drives for the Red Cross, and the big boss in the area came in and said that they're very happy that I come and that I do a good job. So it warmed my heart to at least be recognized.
Okay.
I'm very happy to be feeling better after 2 separate health issues that kind of overlapped in 6 days in the hospital.
Yeah, you beat me to it, Ross. I'm really happy that Ross is back from the hospital. We started last weekend in kind of a weird place in that regard, and really happy to be where we're at this week. I think Bruce has it.
I'm very pleased about something that I have a tendency not to try and immediately throw away things that aren't working. And I like to see if I can figure out what's going wrong. So I had a very nice 27-inch LG monitor, flat screen monitor, that I used for a long time, and then all of a sudden it stopped working. And I tried my best to try and see what was wrong, and I couldn't figure it out. But I refused to throw it away until I tinkered with it a little bit more. So I came up with the idea of maybe it's the power supply that you plug into the outlet, and then you plug into the back. So finally, I looked up the model number, and I was finally able to find an exact duplicate for sale on the internet. So I said, okay, what the heck? So I ordered it, hooked it up, and now I have another fully operational 27-inch flat screen monitor on my new old computer that's in my living room.
That's awesome. Bruce, I really think at some point you need to publish a book of your 365 daily affirmations of home improvement gratitude. That thing would sell, I am telling you. Anybody else have something they want to share? All right. And I don't seem to have the slide on here, which is kind of a bummer, but we'll just say the typical blessing that we do for our prayers of gratitude. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hatov shimcha ulchana'eh lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, whom it is fitting to praise. Your name is good, and it is fitting to praise you. We're going to turn, not backward, but forward, to page 180. Ose shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ose shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imiru amen. Alrighty. Here we go. So at this point in the service, we're going to take a moment to say prayers of healing for those in our community or connected with it who need a little healing prayer. I'll be reading the names of folks that we've got here in our email that we send out, the congregational list. But if you've got someone you want to add to the list, then raise your hand and we can probably get the microphone passed around to you as well. So this evening we're praying for Todd Adams, Raphael Aglietti, Kathleen Al-Jalad, David Ben Esther, Terry Bennett, Tina Bingle, Thomas Brophy, Louis Calcetera, Tegan Christofferson, Bob Dickman, Caitlin Eckert, Arthur Adel, Martin Fishkind, Sandra Gutman, Sheila Hickok, Walt Huber, Sari Katsu, Alan Kirchheimer, Reverend Rebecca Kindig, Ilana Levine, Brooke Little, John McFeely, Rowan Micciolino, Maxine Oringer, Scott Oringer, Ken Roberts, Jim Rosenstein, Rabbi Moshe Shmaryahu, Jennifer Stile, Dick Watanabe, Rhonda Waxman, Elena Witter, Phyllis Young, Debbie Zapotki, Eugenia Zaroli, and Jaeger Zopp. Is anyone wanting to add anyone to the list there? Why don't you wait till the mic's there? Yeah, thanks.
Bernard Lowski and Alan Pass.
Thank you. Got another hand up.
Marissa Schneeberg and Myrna Levine.
Thank you.
Elvin Bar Shmuel Ahmed Ruvain.
Thank you. Going to add Shmuel Ahmed Ruvain, Mibet Avraham Basara. Do we have anyone on Zoom that I didn't notice? Okay. So we're going to turn to page 371 in the prayer book, if you've got one next to you. Otherwise, you probably recognize this one. We do it quite a bit. 371. Mi shebeirach avoteinu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebeirach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Praying for a refuah shalema, a complete and speedy recovery to all those that we're holding in our hearts this evening. All right, folks, we're going to take a moment here for a little bit of Torah discussion. We are on Parashat Re'eh this weekend. And in particular, I want to take a look at a passage from chapter 15. This is Deuteronomy chapter 15. And it goes like this. I'm going to read the passage in its entirety because I think it'll be useful as a springboard for thinking and talking about what we're going to talk about tonight. So it says here in chapter 15, "There shall be no needy among you, since Adonai your God will bless you in the land that God is giving to you as a hereditary portion. If only you heed Adonai your God and take care to keep all this instruction that I enjoin upon you this day. For Adonai your God will bless you as he has promised you. You will extend loans to many nations, but require none yourself. You will dominate many nations, but they will not dominate you. If, however, there is a needy person among you, one of your kinsmen in any of your settlements in the land that Adonai your God is giving you, do not harden your heart and shut your hand against your needy kinsman. Rather, you must open your hand and lend him sufficient for whatever he needs. Beware lest you harbor the base thought, the 7th year, the year of remission, is approaching, so that you are mean to your needy kinsman and give him nothing. He will cry out to Adonai against you, and you will incur guilt. Give to him readily and have no regrets when you do so. For in return, Adonai your God will bless you in all your efforts and in all your undertakings. For there will never cease to be needy ones in your land, which is why I command you, open your hand to the poor and needy kinsmen in your land." Okay, so the progression in this passage from "there shall be no needy among you" to "when there is a needy person among you" to "there will never cease to be needy ones in your land," all within the space of 4 verses, is really quite striking. Sometimes contradictions in the Torah arise out of differences between the various source texts that were ultimately woven together to make up the Hebrew Bible. But then there are times when the reasons are more subtle. This passage is not made up of different sources. Deal with the complex social psychology of poverty and our obligations to address it. That those who have little will think twice before giving to those in need, whereas those with a lot will feel freer to share what they have. But that isn't always the case. People, as a rule, are pretty bad at recognizing when we have enough. And it can be hard to feel confident enough in our own circumstances to be willing to let go for the sake of others. Beyond this, however, there's the moral stumbling block, where those who have experienced prosperity in their own lives tend to assume the same conditions for prosperity are equally available to others, and that those who do not prosper are in that situation because of a lack of effort and diligence. And sometimes this belief is used to justify withholding support from those who need it. The challenge, therefore, is that we need to push back against these tendencies in both directions, to push ourselves to a greater recognition of our own prosperity, recognizing and giving thanks for the blessings that we've received, and also to push toward a greater recognition of the challenges and obstacles that are faced by other people. And this is what I believe is going on in the passage in the Torah that we've been looking at. With regard to how we view our own circumstances, the Torah says, "There shall be no needy among you." Recognize the blessings in your own lives so that you'll feel confident and secure in your ability to help others. But regarding the circumstances of other people, it says, "There will never cease to be needy ones in your land. Do not let your own problems or your own good fortune blind you to the needs of your fellow creatures." Because no matter how prosperous and full of opportunity our land may be, there's always going to be people that need our help. And so what I'm opening it up for us to kind of think about and consider tonight is this complex kind of moment here in the Torah, where it's trying to address poverty, where it's trying to address differences in the amount that people have to support themselves, and where it's ultimately saying things that seem to contradict one another, right? There won't be any needy people among you because God's going to bless you. But then on the other hand, there will never stop being needy people among you, and so therefore you have to open up your hands. What does this tell us about the moral psychology of how we approach problems of helping people in need? And what do you think this tells us about the Torah and the way that it tends to think about these issues of how we address big social problems together as part of a community? Got a hand up here.
There are many agencies among this area, such as Chow, for people who are hungry.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Office for the Aging, who help those who are older. And there are individuals who help some people.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
It's difficult when there are people who are needy, or actually they seem to be needy, and yet they seem, even when you offer them something, that's not what they want. Usually they want just money to get whatever it is they want to get. Oftentimes some sort of addictive thing like alcohol or drugs. I had an experience with a gentleman, I think it was right down in Binghamton, where I was there standing on a corner. A person came over and asked me for some money, that he was hungry. And I said, well, there's a restaurant right over there, a nice little diner. I said, I can take over there and buy you some lunch. And he basically just put up his hands, backed right up, and said, no, thank you very much, and walked away. It's difficult to help people who don't want to be helped.
Sorry, John, you think you've got a hand up there? You want to?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. The thought that ran through my head is another teaching of our faith, that while you're not obligated to fix the problem or problems, you are obligated to continue to work to fix the problems. So whether it's the needy or anything else, and the needy are really a perfect example, we will, I think the last part of that, the list that you gave us, there will always be needy among us, means that we are obligated to continue to work to help the needy.
That's true. Thank you.
Okay. So there's quite a lot of nuance in this passage that I'm quite impressed by. But one thing that I noticed is that there's a number of distinctions that are referring to the word kinsman comes up a lot, right? These are ideas or thoughts about how you should treat your in-group. And the passage is a lot sparser on people who are not your kinsmen, and all it says there is that you're going to dominate them and you're going to lend them money, and you won't be dominated. And that, the difference between how you treat in and how you treat out is very stark to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think that that's a general tendency that we can see in the Torah, is a tendency to kind of differentiate between like in-groups and out-groups. It is also the case that elsewhere in the Torah we have fairly strenuous language about, for example, supporting the widow, the stranger, and the orphan, right? The stranger there is, by definition, someone who's in the out-group, right? Or loving the stranger as ourselves, right? But at the same time, right, the same text in other places also talks about other peoples, as in nations of other people, in starkly antagonistic terms, right? So I think what's pretty clear from that is the Torah has a great deal of ambivalence when it comes to others, people existing outside the circle of Israel, and seems to adopt different perspectives or different points of view on our relationship to those others, I think sometimes heavily influenced by whatever happens to be going on in Israel at the time regarding its relationship with its neighbors. But yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
I was thinking about what you were saying about how people who have enough to give frequently don't, and how we have this meritocracy where people believe that good fortune comes because they deserve it or because they worked hard, and frequently that is true, but we tend to ignore the other factors that might put someone in a position where they are needy, where they are in poverty. And I think that it's part of what makes people who have a lot of money or resources hesitant to give is because they, first of all, they hold that view that they are there because they deserve it, but also because they don't know what it's like to be in need. And I think people who are in poverty or who have less are closer to experiencing or have experienced what it is like to be in need, and therefore they're more eager or more willing to give up what little they have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this is also one of those places where the Torah's kind of language or framework of obligation is actually a really powerful tool in terms of addressing these kind of issues, right? Because one of the really difficult things that we encounter when it comes to the question about giving or helping others or lending a hand, right, is that we almost instinctively seem to go to a place of evaluation, right? Who is deserving of my help? Is this person a deserving recipient of my assistance, or are they not, right? I think that the Torah, maybe wisely, right, cuts through that particular Gordian knot by saying ultimately the obligation to provide for the needy is not something that emerges out of a particular sentiment or feeling of kindness or goodwill that we might have toward this person or that person, but that ultimately it's an obligation toward people who are in need, right, regardless of who they are or whatever their sort of, their situation is, however they may have arrived at that particular place. And I think that obviously sometimes we might have whatever feelings we might have about a particular person and what their situation is, and maybe, like how they arrived at that place. But regardless of our feelings, that person might still need our help. And so thinking about these things in terms of obligation, I think kind of helps sometimes, because it helps us kind of cut through these questions about who arrived at what place in life, when and how, and what does that say about their, their moral status or what they deserve or don't deserve. Anybody else with a thought they wanted to share before we wrap it up? All right, Nisa. Oh, got the microphone over here. Sorry. Thanks.
Hello. Just commenting on Bruce's situation with, I'll take you to the restaurant to feed you. What is, I'll say, the right approach in a situation like that? Do you give the person money knowing that 98% of the people you give that to will use it for what we would think is improper things, but then you're getting that 2% who really will buy food with it? Mm-hmm. So how do you play those numbers?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. I can't really give you an absolute, here, but I can tell you my approach to it, which is simply this. I have a great deal of skepticism about my own ability to read other people and analyze their circumstances based on what I can tell about them at first glance. I just do not have a high degree of optimism about my ability to tell what's going on with a person or what their motivations are. And because of that, my approach generally tends to be, if somebody is asking me for something and they need something and I have it, then I'll give it to them. I'll give to them if they're telling me that they're in need, and I'm not really going to stop and analyze the question of like, who is this person? Do they deserve it? Or like, what exactly are they going to use it for? On the principle that like, if the person is overcoming the natural reticence that many of us have to like ask other people for help, then chances are they maybe need the help, and so if I've got something, I'll give. Now, other people may take a different approach, but at least for me, that is the approach that works for me, simply because I don't necessarily have a lot of faith in my ability to tell a person who's, looking for money in order to feed themselves from someone who is looking to buy some alcohol. I don't necessarily have the ability to tell the difference between someone who put themselves in that situation through some really dumb, bad decisions and someone who found themselves in that situation due to no fault of their own, right? I can't tell. And so because I can't tell, and because I don't necessarily want to, put myself in the position of having to make that kind of decision, it just works for me better to, if I've got something, then I'll give. Makes things a lot simpler, at least, but that's just how I approach it. I don't see any other hands still floating up, so I think we may just wrap it up there, if that's okay with you guys. Thanks, everyone, for your comments this evening. They were all really great. And I'm going to share the screen once again as we go back to our Siddur. Oh, I just realized I got out of the... There we go. Okay. I'm going to share the screen now. So we're going to turn to page 587, and I'll invite you to rise if you're able and comfortable doing so. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, lateit gedula liotzer bereshit, shehu sam chelkeinu liyached et shemo, vegor aleinu lehamlich malchuto, vanachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Please feel free to have a seat. It's the one part of the service where it's really hard not having a book in my hand. Let's read on page 591. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. We're going to turn now to page 593. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, and it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our lives are full. But as night follows day, the candle of our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen, yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. We're going to turn to page 598. And tonight we're remembering a death in the congregational family. Bernard Lowski, who's the husband of Geraldine, father of Sherry and Leslie, brother of Gail and Arlene, and brother-in-law of Sylvia Diamond. And for yard sites, we're observing the yard sites of Milton Weiss, Cecilia Goldenberg, Emil Goldenberg, William Regenbogen, Harold S. Unger, Lydia Artus, Belle Polikoff Bedines, Robert Evan Levy, Edward Nathan, Lillian Julie Schneider, Albert A. Aronson, Robert Zucker, Dr. Leslie Mayor, Muriel Mayor, and Stanley Yassin. Please rise if you're able and comfortable as we turn to page 598. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Bi'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlik malchutei, B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ulolmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal Shemei dekud shabrichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru Amen. May their memories be for a blessing. Please have a seat. All right, folks, just a couple of announcements. Announcement one, obviously, is that tomorrow morning we are having our usual Saturday morning Torah study. That's at 9:15. Very much encourage people to come and participate. It's always a good time. Coming up on Sunday, I believe this week is the rummage sale. So definitely a cool thing that happens around here. I'm looking forward to checking it out at some point. And we've got a couple of things coming up in the month of September. In particular, the two things that I really want to call out specifically, and I'm going to call up my calendar here because that'll make it a little easier for me to remember the actual dates. So, Sunday, September 15th, we're going to be doing the first in our series of adult ed programs here that are like the joint adult ed program between Temple Concord and Temple Israel. I'm going to be teaching that one. It's going to be I'm going to be doing a talk about gender diversity and Jewish values. We're going to be exploring some interesting texts from traditional Judaism that explore kind of gender identity beyond the simple male-female binary. And then I'm also going to be talking a little bit about how some of those texts might be relevant to the efforts of trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming Jews in the present day who are standing up and asking to be counted and looking to make room in Judaism for a more diverse set of gender perspectives. So going to be doing that. The other thing that I really want to throw out there and encourage people to come to is at the end of September, September 28th, that's Saturday evening, we are having our Slichot service. Slichot is sort of like the very, very kind of like beginning of the high holiday season. It's sort of like the first taste of high holiday melodies. It's got a lot of really beautiful songs and tunes and poems and things like that. It's a lovely service. It's a little bit later in the evening. We're doing it at 9 o'clock, so it's a little bit later in the evening. But I really encourage people to come. It's going to be awesome. So definitely making a plug there for Slichot. That's another joint service. We do that along with Temple Israel, it's going to be rad. So keep that open on your calendar. We're going to turn back now.
Excuse me, Rabbi,
You bet.
next Friday night service, is that going to be?
Thank you. Next Friday night service, because next Friday is when the, was it like Luma? The Luma festival is happening. So our service times are going to be kind of finagled a little bit. We're going to be doing services starting at 6:30, and it's going to be a shortened service to give folks who want to go to Luma, including myself and Ross probably, a chance to go and check it out. So yeah, it's going to be a little different. It's going to be 6:30 for services next week instead of 7:30, which is our usual time. Thank you for reminding me for making that announcement, Ethan. We're going to wrap it up here on page 625, and I ask you to join me in singing Adon Olam. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra leit nasa v'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra azai melech shemo nikra ve'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora ve'u Vehu yiyeh betifara, vehu yiyeh betifara, vehu echad ve'yein sheni, leham shilo leachbira, beli reishit veli taklit, velo ha'oz ve'hamisra, velo ha'oz ve'hamisra, vehu eli v'chai goali, v'tzur chevli beyetzara, vehu nisi umanos li, menat kosi beyom ekra, menat kosi beyom ekra, beyado afkid ruchi, beyeti shan ve'yaira, ve'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li velo ira, Adonai li velo ira. All right, folks. I'm going to invite you to join with me in the Motzi blessing, and then we will bid you all a Shabbat Shalom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Thank you, folks. Shabbat Shalom, and nice to see you all here.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, folks on Zoom. Good to see you all here tonight.